If I would have been doing that live, I probably would have been sacked as a pundit.
My God, his two finishes were out of this world.
You came straight back and had a go at me saying I need Specsavers. Well, I've always got specs on, Alan. You're the one player I know with a 100% penalty failure rate. Hello and welcome to The Rest is Football. I'm Gary Lineker, and joining us as always are the dynamic duo of Alan Shearer and Micah Richards. They might be not quite so dynamic this morning. It's early on bank holiday morning. We've had a great weekend of football. You two were doing match of the day last night. So what time did you get home?
Well, I got in at about just before 2:30, so I've had about 5.5 hours sleep maximum. I'll get up and get my gym kit ready this morning and go for my trainers. And my bloody son has nicked my trainers. He took them. He came up.
You've
last
only got
weekend
one pair of
and took 'em
trainers?
back to one. I've got a brand new pair, and I don't like putting brand new pairs on because I get blisters because I've got the fattest feet ever. So my trainers have gone, and I'm in a bad mood. Newcastle beaten. My son's nicked my trainers, so I've had hardly any sleep.
But Alan, why on God's earth did you suggest to do it at 8:15 in the morning?
What's your idea, Alan?
A friend's got a tennis tournament, and once a year he has all his pals round, and we all go around there and play tennis and have a few drinks. And now I've got no fucking trainers.
What time did you get home, Micah?
I got home about 1:30.
Oh, well, you've had a full night's sleep.
Full night's sleep. That's enough for big meeks. Don't you worry. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Well, I was sat home all day yesterday and watched loads of football and then had an early night. So, and people, it's amazing actually how many people don't realise that Match of the Day or indeed Match of the Day 2 is actually live, isn't it? People always go, what time do you do it? What time do you do it?
It's amazing how many people say that, or what time do you record it and what time do you get home? It's like, no, we don't record it.
But why is it live, Gary? Can you explain to the viewers why it's live?
Yes. Well, there are two reasons, really, that Match of the Day is, it's been live as long as I can remember. Firstly, it gives the team more time to edit the matches. Say Match of the Day, you've got sometimes 8 games on a Saturday, sometimes 10, sometimes 6, whatever it is. The bigger amount of time that the guys have to edit the games, the better quality of edit you get. But that's not the main reason. The main reason is if there's a big story that breaks on a Saturday night or a Sunday night, and a manager, for example, gets the sack or something untoward happens, and it goes out on the news, which goes just before Match of the Day, and then we don't mention it in the show, we'll look idiots. So they're the main two reasons, and that's why we all get home very late on either Sunday morning or as is today on a Monday morning. What we're going to talk about today? Well, let's get it out of the way, Alan. They played so well in the first half.
Plenty of talking points, that's for sure. It was a really Newcastle fan point of view. You're really disappointed with the result. But I mean, we sat there, Micah, didn't we? We were watching it together. As you said, we're doing Match of the Day, and I kept saying, if we don't get a second goal, we're going to regret it. We're going to get punished here because that's just what happens in football. And they miss chance after chance after chance, and also, you have to give Alisson a huge mention because one of the saves he made from Almiron to make it 2-0 was just unbelievable how he kept it out. So, and the longer the game went on, and I don't know, I mean, Newcastle just, I don't know, they just seemed to fold a bit in the last half an hour.
They took Gordon off, it made a difference. I mean, he was...
Yeah, it was a slight surprise for me, that was. I know he was looking slightly tired, and I know that Barnes came on 2 weeks ago, Harvey Barnes, and got a lot of credit for what he did, the goal he scored and the assist that he had. But I thought, I mean, Trent couldn't go anywhere near Anthony Gordon. He was giving him a torrid afternoon because he knew one more tackle, Trent, and he was going to get a red card as well. So I was slightly surprised that he took him off. But normally, that midfield, we said how good it was. Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes and Joe Linton in the first game against Aston Villa. But when Joe Linton went off, they sort of lost a bit of that fight, and they went really sloppy, and then invited Liverpool on some great substitutions from Jurgen, and he brought Harvey Elliott on, he brought Diego Jota on. They then got a grip into the game. They then started to get people running in behind, and then Nunez came on. My God, his two finishes were out of this world. I'm not even sure they were half chances. They were that good. I mean, both of them were in right in the corner with Pope. Absolutely no chance. So, yeah, when you don't take your chances, you get punished. You go sloppy. Little bit of criticism for Harvey Barnes. He went through, didn't he? He could have just squared it to Callum Wilson. Easy pass across, and he would have had an open goal. 2-0 again, that would have been over. So, yeah, plenty of errors from Newcastle, and they got punished.
Talking about Darwin Núñez, I do remember or recall that you said Nunez was going to have a fantastic season.
I wasn't going to bring it up.
Why did you? Yeah, right. Why did you predict that, Gary?
Because I see a striker, Micah. And I see he's rapid. He gets a lot of chances. And last season he missed a lot of chances. And for me, the most important thing about goal scorers and the ones that are more natural are the ones that get a lot of chances. And he seems to get himself in position to miss, if you like. And to be a really good goal scorer, you will inevitably miss chances. And obviously, last season, probably the percentage rates of his finishing, the ratio wouldn't have been as he liked, but you could see in there that if he could just work on his finishing a little bit, that there's definitely a massive goal scorer in there.
They've got some frightening options up front, Liverpool, haven't they? I mean, there's some incredible players, and Jota, Diaz, Salah, Nunez, as you've just said. It's like, so yeah, I agree. I mean, for me, last season, although he kept missing so many chances, it didn't seem to bother him. There's an arrogance about him in a good way, not in a bad way, but that he just thinks, sod it, I don't care, I'm still going to get in there. And that has to be a good thing, because the more times you get in there, the more you're going to score.
He's rapid, that's for sure.
He's rapid. I'd hate to play against that pace. And he has, like you said, he's got that confidence. But I just think, don't you think as a striker you need that run of games? It always seems like he's in, he starts, and he's on the bench for a couple of games, and then he can't get that rhythm as a striker. You need that, surely.
Well, it'll come now, I think. I imagine that he'll get a run of games after that performance coming on. I mean, he had a run of games last season. He played plenty of matches, didn't he? But he's and he got himself sent off. Remember, early doors. Was it Palace? Was it? I can't remember exactly the game. But he got himself sent off, and then there were one or two things. But I suspect he might be challenging possibly for the Golden Boot this season.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure of that, so I'll go against that. But I definitely think there's a player in there. What about the decisions as well from the referee?
Yes, go on. We had a little, not a spat. We had a little bit of fun on Twitter, didn't we, yesterday? Because we'll start with the Virgil van Dijk one. Because I looked at it and I mean, he clearly got the ball. He might have got a bit of the man on the way, but I mean, he did. It wasn't rash. He didn't slide in. He stood there, and he just nonchalantly took the ball off him, I thought. But you came straight back and had a go at me saying I need Specsavers. I've always got specs on, Alan, and I went back at you saying, well, I'll borrow your black and white tinted pair that you inevitably wear every time you watch your team play. The
referee made some big errors, or two big errors. He should never have given a foul, or he should have given a foul for Trent Alexander-Arnold when he threw the ball away and got the first yellow card. He then should have got another yellow card. Do you think that
first throwing the ball away was a yellow card? I mean, he didn't throw the ball away. He just underarmed it about 5 yards. I thought that was pathetic. Yellow card.
Well, it's in the laws, and everyone knows that.
I thought he just tossed the ball back onto the pitch.
No, he didn't. He threw the ball away. And then the Virgil van Dijk one. It was a clear red card. He's first of all, Micah, as a defender, his positioning is all wrong.
We talked about this last.
You can't get a red card for bad positional play.
That's true, but because of his positioning was all wrong, he then wiped Isak out. He clearly wiped him out, then took the ball after that, which is what I said on Twitter. The referee, although he made some errors, he got that one correct. And if it was that bad a decision, I bet you they don't appeal because they've got no chance of winning. It was the correct decision. It was a red card. Actually, Liverpool defended better without him on the pitch.
Alan, can I ask you a question? Were all the bad decisions the ones that went against Newcastle? What did you think to the red, Micah?
I changed my mind about 50 times, and it's a good job we had the extended time to wait to do Match of the Day, because if I would have been doing that live, I probably would have been sacked as a pundit, because I said there's no way that is a red card. And I was saying that because he got the ball, and yes, he touched him, but in the letter of the law, the denial of a goal-scoring opportunity, and especially when you see all the other angles, it was a red card. But when I initially saw that, I thought it was soft. I really did.
One of the other games played yesterday, Manchester City at Sheffield United. They struggled a bit, City, didn't they? They weren't at their usual free-flowing selves, were they? And I thought Sheffield United defended really valiantly.
Yes, I think City are not at the best, but in terms
they
of
never are at the start
couple
of the season,
seasons, they're actually 3 out of 3. They're getting over the line. I was confused why Foden wasn't starting. But then,
I think most people that had a fantasy football team were confused as well, Micah.
Yeah, I think it was a delicate one for everyone. So we used to seeing sort of Mahrez, or in the past Sterling, or in the past Sané, when they get into them one-on-one situations, being able to do something. But a lot of the City players now want to come inside, so it's leaving a lot of space for Walker on that side. So the balls that are coming in are not coming in with the same quality, because Kyle Walker's used to playing more as a free at the back rather than a winger. Yesterday's game, there was 35 crosses and they had 30 shots and only 9 shots on target. So they're just missing some spark, but they're getting it over the line just because of the quality players like Rodri. I mean, he's got to be the best defensive midfielder in the world right now. He just keeps getting them out of trouble, whether it be the Champions League final, whether it's big moments in games. But the most important thing about City is the winning. And I have to give a little bit of credit to Sheffield United. Up until City scored, they was very good defensively. They left the space all wide and said, you cross and we're going to defend the box. So good signs for Sheffield United, but I'm not sure how many goals they're going to score.
Gary, we did a thing last night with Kyle Walker. he I mean, we shouldn't laugh. We'd only laugh because they ended up winning the game. But he gave the goal away. He tried to back heel it in his.
Well, he's a Sheffield United fan from youth.
That's
probably
true.
trying to help him.
He went sliding off the pitch, and he just laid there with his head in his hands when the ball. And actually, because he stayed off the pitch, he was keeping McBurney on side because he was in front of Edison, and he could see there's a picture went back to Trent once the ball hit the back of the net, and he's there with his head and his hands laid off the pitch, but he didn't have to play his part.
What was Trent doing there, Al?
What?
You just said Trent on the side of the pitch.
Did I? I apologise. Kyle Walker.
It's still early. What time is it? We're only half 8 in the morning.
On the brain. Sorry, Kyle Walker.
I mean, I know Trent gets blamed for most defensive mistakes. That would have been harsh in a game he wasn't even playing in, wouldn't it?
You've got me up early on a Monday morning.
Haaland missed a penalty, hit the post, which made me think, what was your worst ever penalty miss? Micah, we know you've never scored one, so you're 4 from 4. You're the one player I know with a 100% penalty failure rate.
Not easy, are they, Micah?
I will never disrespect you strikers again, honestly. The emotion.
Gary, what was your worst penalty miss, Gary? Was that one at Wembley?
It'd have to be, wouldn't it? The attempted dink to equal Bobby Charlton's record. So it was painful.
No, but hold on. Before you go on, what on God's earth are you thinking?
Exactly.
Do you think I'm going to take any criticism from someone who's taken 4 and missed 4?
Yeah, I suppose I should shut up.
I'll tell you exactly what I was thinking, right? I did homework on the goalkeepers when I took penalties, and I practiced the penalty that I was going to take in the game. and I'd seen one or two of the penalties that the Brazilian keeper, it might have been, was it Taffarel? I can't remember, against that keeper, and he always dived really early. So I thought, he's a classic goalkeeper to take a Panenka against. And I'd scored a couple of Panenkas before, and I scored some subsequently after that game. But I practiced them the couple of days before at the England training ground, which was then at Burnham Beeches, and when we stayed there. And I practiced the day before, but the pitches there were very bare. There was no grass, so I put it on the spot, and I was dinking them down the middle. I used to practice without a goalkeeper because I didn't like to ruin my confidence if they kept saving them. So I practiced this penalty. Then come the day, I get a penalty. I was kind of whacked around the head, and I put the ball on the spot. I thought, I'll just do the dink. I was quite confident. And the grass, this is not an excuse, actually.
But it is an excuse.
It's totally an excuse, Micah.
Micah, I can tell you exactly because I was sat on the stand
Laughing.
watching. I was in the squad laughing.
So anyway, and the grass there was a bit lush. It was a little bit like when you take a chip at golf from the side and it's nice bare lie, and then suddenly you get one that's the rough's a bit thick. So I kind of probably decelerated a little bit. Well, I mean, even though he still went early, the goalkeeper, I think he had time to go, run across his line, touch both posts, come back and pick it up by the time it got to him. So it was it was cringe. And at that stage, I thought, well, I've still managed to get past Bobby Charlton's record, but never scored again. So that was pretty painful.
There was nothing important at stake, Mike. It was only to equal the England record.
But how many games did you have after that penalty, Gary?
Hardly any. You was in the Euro '92.
That was it. In the Euros, about 4 games after, I hit the underside of the bar in a friendly somewhere. Was it? Might have been in Finland, and then we didn't really create anything in the Euros. We weren't a very good team, so it wasn't my fault. But anyway, what about yours worst one, Alan? Wasn't the one at Sunderland?
Yeah, Sunderland. Keeper saved it. Thomas Sorensen. Yeah, that's what he's famous for, was saving my penalty.
Well, come on, talk us through it.
Come on, Alan.
You can't just...
I missed it. I missed a penalty against Sunderland at the Gallagher end. We need to move on, guys. We haven't got the time. Come on, let's not talk about that.
No, didn't the supporters respond at your house? Didn't they? Something?
Yeah, they dumped a load of straw and fish eggs and everything outside. 10-foot high mound outside my gate. Wow. The next morning, I couldn't get out. I couldn't get on my
Newcastle
drive.
fans, I presume.
No, they wouldn't do that. Yeah, horrible.
On that note, let's give ourselves a couple of minutes to contemplate our penalty misses. We'll take a break. Welcome back to The Rest is Football with me, Gary Lineker, Alan Shearer and Micah Richards. Micah, what stood out, what caught your eye at the weekend?
Well, I've been working all weekend, so I've not managed to catch up on games because I've been working on the Premier League. But this new super kid at Barcelona, how do you say his name, Gary?
I think it's Lamine Yamal.
Lamine Yamal.
16 years old. Played yesterday. It started for Barcelona. Had 2 assists, and which is it's quite something.
16.
And he had some unbelievably brilliant moments. He was the man of the match in the game. He hit the woodwork on 2 occasions, and I think we might have a little emerging superstar. I sent you the brief highlights on our chat that we have for The Rest is Football.
Wow. Yeah. But it's just, I don't understand how he can be so composed, so exciting for a young player. But not only that, his decision making. How many times have we seen young players and they do all the good bits, and then as soon as they get to the most important bit, whether it's the pass or whether it's the goal, they sort of fluff the lines. But it was his composure what I was most impressed with. Looks as though he can go both ways. He's left-footed, but he likes to play on the right-hand side.
Right of the 3 at the top.
And I'm really excited. Look at what they've produced. Pedri, Gavi. I mean, they get these players, Fati, so young. I just hope I just hope he continues because I think we've got a superstar in the making.
16 years of age, by the way.
Barcelona,
into that, and I know that environment, and it's like as if I'll just leave it with me. I mean, it's phenomenal. The talent that they produce is amazing.
Yeah, I had it on yesterday, and it was a quiet game of football. Villarreal, it was 4-3. Barca were 2 up, then it went 2-2. Villarreal went ahead, and then Barca came back, and the kid got a standing ovation from the Villarreal fans when he was substituted late in the game. 16 years old. Brilliant. That's quite something, isn't it?
Sorry, before we move on, have you two ever had a standing ovation from the opposition fans?
They didn't really like us.
Speak for yourself, Alan. I had one.
For obvious reasons.
I had one that actually I was very emotive and felt it was the last game I ever played in the Premier. I never played in the Premier League, so that's a lie. Before football existed, when there was a thing called Division 1, my last ever game for Tottenham when I was 32, before I went to Japan, was at Old Trafford, and we were playing there, and I got a beautiful little trophy that Manchester United gave me before the game. Brian Robson handed it to me as my last appearance, which was a really good touch from the club. And then we played the game. Admittedly, we were 3-0 down, but with about 10 minutes to go, the ball came across and I headed it in past Peter Schmeichel in goal. And the whole crowd sang my name and stood up. And it was, honestly, I had a tear in my eye. And I've always had a little soft spot for, even though I never played for the club, for Manchester United, because of the appreciation of the fans that day. It was really actually quite moving to get that. The other true story that day is that I was going for the Golden Boot, and I was 1 goal clear of a certain Ian Wright going into the last game of the season. And obviously, at half time, I was checking because I think I was on 28 and he was on 27. So at half time, I checked the other scores. And I think they were playing Southampton at Highbury. And I think it was goalless, or they were losing. Arsenal certainly hadn't scored. And then I scored with 10 minutes to go, and I thought, I've got to have won it now. And I get in at the end of the game, and someone told me the result was Southampton 2 or Arsenal 3. And I thought, well, he's surely... And he got a hat-trick in the last 20 minutes of that game to beat me by 1. Yeah, so... I was gutted. And then I remember we had a phone call with Wrighty. And
that was a nice one. I bet you some few choice words there.
He deserved to.
I got a standing ovation at Anfield,
yes.
Actually, when we won the league, Blackburn, because Liverpool didn't want Man United to win.
Can I just ask one question there? Was that standing ovation for you or for a certain Kenny Dalglish?
Probably Kenny Dalglish. Yeah. They were all Blackburn fans for the day.
So they threw it that game, did they?
I can't believe it just...
Well, no, they ended up beating us in the end. We went 1-0 up, but they ended up beating us 2-1. But Man United didn't win at West Ham. So
I can't believe you've just made up a standing ovation.
That's the only one I can think of. I certainly didn't get a standing ovation ever at Old Trafford. He hated me and still do.
A player that might get the odd standing ovation, Harry Kane, 2 goals yesterday in his home debut for Bayern Munich. That's 3 goals now, and he's already well ahead of your Bundesliga goal-scoring record, Alan.
I don't think I'll catch that for some reason either.
Good start for him.
There's no surprise he started so well, isn't it? Yeah, 3 goals, already looks comfortable in that shirt. He'll get a hat full of goals there. And that is not dissing that the Bundesliga, because it is a decent league, but just because how good Harry is.
A good side that does obviously dominate German football for a long time. I want to talk a little bit about Saudi Arabia and the fact that so many players are going there, and we've said so far, probably not one of the superstars has gone. And Mbappe's obviously, he's still at PSG, scored a couple of goals the other night actually, and that Mo Salah's an interesting one, isn't it? That's bubbling under the surface. Klopp said he's definitely not for sale.
Everyone's for sale. Everyone has a price. I would imagine that, of course, they wouldn't want to lose him with only a few days left of the window. I'd be amazed if he went over now, only because they've left it so late. Obviously, the Saudi Arabian transfer window finishes after ours finishes here. I think they go on for another week or so. But they've offered crazy money before, so they could come in and offer in the region of 150, 160 million. Then, but Liverpool couldn't sell him with 4 or 5 days left, could they?
No, they can't do. I think in a couple of years he would probably take that option, because if you look at what Liverpool have got, they've got Trent, they've got Van Dijk, they've got players like Luis Diaz. If they get a couple of more in Liverpool, they could have a really good challenge. And I think if you get rid of Salah now, you're getting rid of a world-class player. And it's not just about Salah and what he's done. It's about what other players would come, because Salah's there as well, because I know they've got a genuine world-class player. So I think players will always be tempted. Look, if we're being honest, we'd all be tempted to go there. But I think Liverpool at this moment is not for sale.
Do you think that because Man City are trying to sign Nunez from Wolves, that means Calvin Phillips is going to go somewhere, possibly
He
Liverpool?
needs to play some football, doesn't he?
You know what? I feel so...
Only I mentioned that, Micah, because you mentioned Liverpool signings. I think that's one that could happen. If City get him from Wolves, then that would free up Calvin Phillips to go somewhere.
Calvin Phillips is a difficult one, because obviously he's gone to City and he got injured, but not small injured. And when he come back, he got injured again. But we remember him at the Euros. Him and Rice in that defensive partnership were fantastic. So we know he's got it, and he's not going to get the run of games at Man City because Rodri's the best defensive midfielder in the world. Then you bring in Kovacic. Then you can bring Bernardo Silva in that play. Then you've got your fullbacks coming in to midfield. So he's not going to get a game. Would I sell him to the rivals in Liverpool? No, I wouldn't, if I'm being totally honest. But I think he's very capable of playing for Liverpool and doing well. And I think it's exactly what they need as well.
Did you see the Mike Dean thing over the last few days? I think he first said, didn't he, that he didn't want to send the referee to the monitor last season because he was his mate, and then kind of backtracked a little bit. Said, well, that's when I meant mate. I meant me companion, my work colleague. Strange thing to say, wasn't it?
I just think the whole situation is quite embarrassing. I commend him for coming out and speaking and being honest about the situation, but he's a referee and he's there to do a job, whether it's your mate or not. And I can't comprehend in my head why he would even come out with that. Yes, he said Anthony Taylor was having a bad game, but he's putting the game into disrepute if you're basically going to say, okay, I won't send you that because my colleague is having a bad game. I like Mike Dean. I like how open and honest. I think he's a bit of a character. But if he's done that, how many other referees have done that or felt that way as well?
It sows a seed of doubt, doesn't it, in the minds of fans when they already had many concerns and many worries about VAR. And we spoke, didn't we, with Howard Webb a week or two ago. It doesn't help him, does it, that kind of stuff?
No, it doesn't help anyone. I mean, I don't know why on earth he would come out and say that. I think the referees are under more pressure as it is anyway, and the standard of refereeing is not where we want it to be. And we appreciate Howard's transparency. We get what he's trying to do, but Mike Dean's comments, being an ex-referee, are not helping anyone at all. Maybe that's why he did it. I don't know, but. No. Even with the new laws that are coming with a time waste.
What do you make of that? I think we've had 9 red cards already. A couple of them have been caused by players getting a yellow card and then another yellow card because of time wasting. Is it the players' fault? Is that the new law's fault? Is it the referee's fault? Or?
Well, we want the ball in play and more time, and we don't want the referees being hammered and criticised like players' behaviour has gone downhill the last few years. So I get why they've done all of the law changes, but I do think it's making it harder for the referees. It's putting more pressure on the referees. They've got more to think about. They've got more to do in an already nearly impossible job.
Do you like the extra minutes we're getting at the end of first half and the end of the game, Micah? Or
I actually quite like it. Yeah, I don't mind.
If you're
it.
losing, it's great, isn't it? But if you're winning, it's not as good.
I actually don't mind it because me and Alan actually did a stat yesterday. The ball's been in play a lot longer, so it is having positive effects with some of these new laws. But I agree with Alan. It's putting too much pressure on the referees, and we've already seen that they can't deal with pressure situations anyway. So why give them more opportunities to get more pressure? It doesn't make sense to me.
Well, thank you very much, gents. That's it for today. We'll be back on Wednesday to answer your questions. Get in touch via social media using @RestIsFootball, @RestIsFootball, or you can email us at therestisfootball@gmail.com. If you haven't done so already, please do subscribe and follow us. And once again, thank you for all the lovely comments on social media. They mean a lot. Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from Big Meeks.
Goodbye from Big Al.